Hello and welcome back to Talk of the White Lotus.
God, it's just such a good name, isn't it? It's so catchy.
I stumbled on it as well as I was saying it.
This is a mini-series from Talk of the Townsends where we talk about the latest season of the White Lotus, which I've got to say I'm loving. I know we're 2 episodes in. I love this show.
And the new theme of the White Lotus has really grown on us. We were getting into it.
Yeah, I really like it. Like, obviously, I missed the ooh. I know a lot of people online were kind of heartbroken they didn't bring that back, but it is a banger in its own right.
It's a grower, not a shower.
Yeah. But in a way, it has something to show as well. I found myself this week listening to it on YouTube and kind of just like shaking my little tush.
What, you were just out and about in life listening to the theme on YouTube?
I put it on in the background when I was doing some work.
Nice.
And then I was just kind of like jumping up and down, freaking out, you know.
It's more memorable than we first thought. Although, could you sing it now?
The problem is we've just sung if you
OG.
have the old one in your head, you cannot remember the new one.
Maybe I take it back. Maybe it's not more memorable because I enjoy it when it's on, but can I remember it?
There's a lot of like aspiration in it, which there was in the old one, of like people breathing and stuff. There's also a bit right at the end of the new theme where there's a thing that sounds like synth, but I think it's a voice saying something. And it's maybe saying something in like Thai or whatever, but I'd love to know what that voice is saying.
I want to know.
It's like, you know, Greg has a gun or something.
Our theory about the girls in White Lotus, the group of friends, was proven true at the top of this episode when one of them said to the other, you can't really make new memories with people if you only see them twice a year for dinner.
Yeah, exactly what we said.
Fake friends.
I mean, look, can we even call it a theory? It was laid on pretty thick that these people hate each other. But I think what I'm surprised at is how quickly, by episode 2, they are already getting into like, oh no, we all hate each other.
Yes.
It's sort of like a love triangle, but of bitchiness and hate. And the one variation we haven't seen is the famous woman and the sort of less liked friend bitching about the like sucky up friend.
Yes.
The one who went over to the family and tried to, make friends with them. By the way, all the acting is sublime, especially the passive aggressive acting, the two-facedness. It's you can tell that they're loving doing it as well. Imagine how fun it is as an actor getting to play these kinds of characters.
It's interesting. As soon as the scene started from when she was like, she's great. She's so beautiful. You knew what was going to happen, but it was still so expertly done.
Oh, yeah.
That I was still so engaged. It's like little bit by little. It's like when you put the lobster in the pot of cold water and you just slowly turn up the heat. It was like little bit by bit. Like, she does drink a lot though.
She does,
and then it's like, she's an alcoholic. Like it's like bit by, her husband, blah, 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 the divorce.
Well, what was the thing? Because she called her out.
Yeah, the friend said, no wonder she looks so defeated and tired. And she was like, I thought you said she looked great.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because her calling her out there, it wasn't like shock. It was a little bit like, I thought you said she looked great, in this way of like, we know we're bitching.
Yeah, and also like, how can I trust anything you say then? Because if you're presenting one information, if you tell me I look great, well, if you're saying that so overtly to my face and actually behind my back you're saying I look defeated and tired.
Well, and then later in the episode, she did hear her bitching about her. I mean, what I'm really intrigued by is that like, if they're already at this stage in episode 2, they might kill each other by the end. Like there may be bloodshed, and it's exciting.
Out of the 3 women, rank best to worst in terms of bitchiness.
Oh, what? Like how good they are at bitching?
No,
or who's the most bitchy?
Most bitchy out of the 3 women in White Lotus?
The snakiest one is the one with the bob, the one who went over to the other family.
Yes.
Followed by the famous one.
Yeah.
Followed by the third one.
Although the third one, the drinker, she did get quite catty in.
She did, but you kind of felt like she was allowed to, because she's always like dealing with nonsense from those 2.
Yeah, the odd one out. Yeah, I would probably agree with that ranking.
Yeah, Bob one is the most evil of the 3, I think.
I thought it was interesting when the friend who'd gone to bed woke up. Obviously, they were bitching about her and she banged on the door and she said, I thought it was a monkey.
Yeah, they're really like planting the seeds of like monkeys being, especially around those 3.
Yeah.
Because isn't there a scene in episode 1, I'm thinking all the way back to episode 1, where they're like, oh, there's monkeys out there. And obviously monkeys are all over the opening titles.
And the 3 kids, did you see the theory that was like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil?
Yes.
They were in their opening shot. That was the monkey kind of symbolic monkeyness.
Yes.
So I just thought that was interesting. I was like, what's going on there? And I don't have any theories to present to the podcast.
Do you think it's a Robbie Williams situation where one of them is a monkey?
Let's talk about the breakfast scene in White Lotus where Kate, the lady with the bob in the friend group, goes over to Victoria.
Parker Posey.
And it's so awkward.
I know, because there's so much to analyze there. Because at first you're like, is she okay? Like, does she, because we're like, this character is clearly a bit like on loads of drugs and stuff. And then it's revealed like, no, I do remember her, but like, I don't care about her.
Yes.
But is that real?
Was that a bluff? Did she actually not remember her? I had the feeling she did remember her, but she just didn't. Maybe something happened at that weekend away.
I was going to say, maybe there's some sort of like dark secret or something. It was really wonderfully awkward.
I'm glad that they had the boy point out that she was rude and that it was awkward, rather than her just walking away and us feeling awkward. And then it's like, well, if no one else thought it was awkward, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, it makes it feel more like the real world when you're like acknowledging like that was incredibly weird that happened.
I kind of love though, like we met at a baby shower for a weekend 10 years ago. Like, I don't care. I kind of love that as a theory. It's like, we're not bosom buddies.
But also, I feel like very quickly, Kate has been positioned as perhaps the villain of the season.
Yeah.
So we're already getting satisfying scenes of her getting like comeuppance. While we're on the topic, what's going on with this family? What is going on with these kids?
It's very odd.
It's all very odd. I mean, she's kind of normal. The daughter's normal.
The daughter seems normal.
Well, yeah, maybe she's got something going on.
I don't want to speak too soon. Something's happening with a monk.
Yes.
But so far, the daughter seems normal and acknowledges that her brothers asking about her sex life is weird.
And also, it's like, she was like, why is he asking about that? And he was like, because you're so hot. And he's like, because, and the way the younger brother said it was as if like, well, because you're so hot. And it's like, is he also a freak?
Yeah.
Like, I keep turning to you during this and going, are they related? And you're like, no, yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. You asked it so many times. I said, yeah, not in real life. And you were like, yeah, no, obviously they're not.
I know they're not related in real life.
Well, you asked it so many times. I was like, what isn't Benedict picking up that they're putting down? They are related. They're brother and sister.
So weird. Because obviously the older brother is just like a horny freak. But the younger brother is weird too. He has strange vibes.
Really strange vibes.
White Lotus loves having a weird, awkward teen, don't they? An odd boy.
On the subject of the breakfast scene, we need to talk about Parker Posey's eating.
Yes.
Phenomenal acting,
especially because actors always say that scenes where you eat is the worst. Because obviously if you eat in one take, you have to keep doing it. So God knows how many like whole fruits she ate over the course of that shoot.
30 mangoes later, and they've done that.
Although maybe she's a one-take wonder, you know what I mean? She's a bit of a legend.
It's true.
But it was the choice of angle that was going into the mouth and like, at the points in each line where she'd eat a bit of fruit. Great fruit acting.
Great fruit acting and also great continuity, which is what I would expect from White Lotus, because eating scenes in film and TV is always where you can clock different takes, and it's something I always look out for.
Yeah, the continuity of like, oh, that's not on the plate anymore, or that glass is suddenly full again. And
yeah, it's a burger that they took a massive bite out of, and now it's like, I feel like Friends was quite bad at that.
Was it?
Yeah, I think Friends had a couple of times where they're eating and there's suddenly different amounts on the plate.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look at like the Joey eating the trifle or whatever, it moves around and plate refills and yeah.
Phenomenal eating. Well, her talking with her mouth full, which I was like, go on.
This show is so good at taking what could be just like a standard archetype, like the kind of, pill-popping rich wife, and then challenging you to be like, oh, is that all it is? And then there's always another layer. There's always, with her, it's like, there's something else here. There's something more here. Like all of them, the bitchy friends, it's like, there's something more here. Like he takes these stock characters and he always elevates them. It's the same with like Amy Lou Wood and Walton Goggins, like, the older guy with the younger partner, but it's like, it's already kind of more advanced and more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that the White Lotus now has a genuine overarching villain in Greg. He is like the Voldemort of this series. He's like Satan in this universe.
Yeah.
And in this episode, because obviously we got that surprise peek of him last week, we were like, is that really him, weren't we? Because it was a genuine surprise. But I love that he's just like, he's awful.
He's awful.
He always was, but like he's like really nasty. He's not friendly.
No.
I love also that Walton Goggins completely clocks him immediately and is like, oh, you're like me.
Yeah, we're both bad.
Yeah, like, we haven't explicitly learned that Walton Goggins is like a drug dealer or whatever, but yeah, we know he does something dodge. And when he said, what do you do for a living? And he's like, this and that. He's like, yeah, I do this and that as well.
Yeah, we both do this and that. That White Lotus dinner scene was actually really interesting because I felt like Amy Lou and her partner almost felt like they were on like a higher horse, right? Because Greg didn't know where his partner was from. He said France, right? And she's like, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And I felt like they were like reveling in like, we're better than them, when it's like almost a mirror reflection.
Oh, absolutely. But they're like, well, we're 1 degree better.
Yeah.
Here's my grand theory. I think Walton Goggins, look, I know he has a character name, but when your name is Walton Goggins, I'm going to call you Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins is basically sort of like the mirror image of Greg. Maybe he could be the good Greg. And we saw today in that scene, you know, with the meditation and everything, that like, he's not a wholly bad guy. Like he's like empty and he kind of wants more.
Yeah.
And maybe I think he could be the one to finally take down Greg. Because he's sort of his mirror image.
Yeah.
I could see him like, I don't know, sacrificing himself at the end of the series and finding meaning while also taking Greg down with him or something.
Oh, I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's reflecting on his trauma.
Yeah. Also worth saying, Amy Lou just killing it, scene after scene.
Can I tell you a wild White Lotus theory that I've kind of come up with?
Sure.
You know, Rick, when he was saying about his trauma?
Yeah.
I was like, was the hotel owner someone who supplied drugs to like his mum who died?
Oh, wow. So it's like an old school revenge story.
Is that a bit far-fetched?
Well, I mean, the hotel owner, this one that we keep hearing about in Bangkok, I think he is presumably quite old. So maybe that would be a really like...
It's like a revenge plot. He's come back.
That's a real like Greek tragedy kind of thing.
That's all I was thinking is when he was talking through this trauma and he's so desperate to track down. Is it like he wants to come full circle and take revenge?
That's kind of fascinating. I'm into that. I like that as a theory because it's not what you expect. You expect he wants to do a deal or something.
Well, exactly.
You know what I think is quite funny? If you didn't watch season 1 of White Lotus... and you're watching the scenes with Belinda, you know, played masterfully by Natasha Rothwell, you know, most likable person alive, you would be a bit like, this show about like obnoxious rich people doing crimes, there's just this woman in the middle who's just having a nice time. Because thus far, apart from the threat towards her son and also potentially getting shot, I suppose.
And also clocking Greg.
Well, she half clocked Greg here.
She was like, I think I know him.
But mostly she's just been like walking around, getting massages, ogling the ripped guy.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, this character seems to have a nice time. But like, obviously us White Lotus vets, we know that Belinda never has a nice time. Maybe she finally will, but...
It's not a bad job getting taken to Thailand and having a massage. I always think about that guy that you met who was like, I do loads of courses. I did a massage course. Great way to get free massages because they all like do massages on each other.
Yeah, that was one of the
for practice.
I was like, why did you take a massage course? He's like, it's a great way to get free massages.
Yeah, smart.
I mean, they're not going to be skillful massages because they're learning on you, but that's such a funny way of thinking about that. I love that.
Last week, you said that you liked that they altered the script for Amy Lou because they complimented her teeth.
Yeah.
Do you think they altered the script this week when the strange older son walked across and she went, he's a wanker?
I had that thought.
Did you? Because I thought an American wouldn't... Do Americans say wanker?
Only like really ironically and doing an accent, I think.
can't even think of the word wanker in an American accent.
No, they do it. They're like, you wanker, I'm from London. That's the only time they do it.
You just don't hear that in an American accent. So I'm assuming that they changed it to reflect her, which I really liked.
Yeah.
He's a wanker. No, he's from a family of wankers, which was a really interesting comment, I would say.
That is an interesting comment, actually. Well, you know what's funny? She initially went, he's a douchebag, which I was like, would she say that? But then she said wanker, and I'm like, that's more accurate. Because I don't think British people really say douchebag.
No, and I would say maybe if you're like 12, you might be like, he's a douche.
He's a real douche. Do Australian people say wanker?
Wanker. I don't know. I can't do an Australian.
Wanker.
I can't.
Yeah, bloody wanker, mate.
Can you say the word wanker in an American accent?
Listen, buddy, you're a wanker.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
You're a wonker.
And here's my chocolate factory. This podcast is real hit lows that we're now.
We're always hitting new lows, and I'm proud of that.
In this week's episode of White Lotus, there was an armed robbery. Yes or no? Do you think we knew the character and we've been introduced to the character already that did the armed robbery?
I don't know because they had their face covered.
Well, yeah.
But there was there was the implication of a second person in the car with them, and we saw only like a little bit of shoulder. So I think maybe the other person is like a character.
Got it.
There were those guys last week.
The smokers.
The guys who had guns. They were like private security, the arrogant guys.
Who Mook was interested in.
Yes, and I wonder, because I think it was some sort of inside job.
Right.
Because the guy, who I think is the muscular kind of massage guy, he was on his bike distracting the lovely guard.
I've just thought of something.
What's that?
Do you think Mook was in on that? Because she wants a better life, right? She wants a different life. Do you think she helped set that up and that was to get money so she could go off and like do something else with her life? And like she didn't expect the guard to get hurt, but obviously he did.
I said last week, I think bad things are going to happen to him because he's such an earnestly nice person, and bad things happen to earnestly nice people in the White Lotus, especially when they're not rich. And I do get a vibe that Mook is shady or is going to have an evil turn.
Now I'm worried. It was only as you were speaking that I thought, hang on a second, was she involved? Because she shut him down.
She did.
When he told her he liked her.
Oh, she really did. She was just like, no.
She just laughed. I think the worst response you could get if someone says, I like you, and they like laugh in your face.
Yeah.
Like you'd rather have someone say, look, I just see you as a friend. Like laughing and being like, don't be so stupid. It's like maybe the cruelest and worst response. I understand she was trying to make it a bit more lighthearted.
Yeah.
But my goodness.
I didn't even think about whether she was involved in the robbery.
Do you think she was? Because she was talking in episode 1 about having do you not want more of your life? Those men, she started talking to them. They said, look, we're going to steal some stuff. The stuff was really expensive at the shop, as we were told.
Yeah.
And she gets a cut of the deal and she gets to go off.
There was a shot of someone at reception.
Was she on the laptop?
Someone was at reception who was not paying attention to the robbery happening. It might not have been her. I can't remember who it was.
It was a figure, but I don't know. So do you think...
But was the implication that the person was ignoring the robbery or that they just didn't notice?
But could it be a little from column A?
A little from column B.
Were they choosing to not notice?
There's so many
White Lotus, not notice.
There's so many wonderful conflicts that have been set up in this at once of like, you have the shooting that was teased at the beginning. You have this robbery. You have this like insane crime thing that's happening to Jason Isaacs. Like there's so many conflicts that are already, those 3 women are going to murder each other.
I can't stop.
Those siblings are going to...
That is a hill that I'm going to die on. Mook was involved in that armed robbery.
Okay,
you heard it here first, people.
That's your prediction, yeah.
Do we think there's anything going on with that guy, the hotel manager, being like, I wouldn't do a performance?
I think there might be
that a bit of a nothing storyline?
I think there might be a comic moment at the end where he does a little song at the end of the show.
Okay.
But I think that's just levity. I don't think there's anything...
I really enjoyed when Belinda had a beer and you called her Belinda.
I called her Belinda, yeah. She had a full-on pint going. I was like, what a lad.
Is the bigger the front, the bigger the back? Is that a saying?
Well, I like the way she was like, you know what they say, the bigger the front.
I was like, it's going to be, I kind of thought, it's going to be kind of quite insightful, quite, like a motivational quote. And then it was just the bigger the back.
Which was very funny.
That was referring to the other lady's divorce, right?
Yes, that was referring to the famous lady's like new husband, I think.
Yes, you're right. The downfall of the new husbands, because she's basically saying it's fireworks now.
Yeah.
But it's...
God, the tension between them is so great. When they're on those lounges talking about their like weird fitness test they all took.
Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. Also the famous woman saying that her and her partner were just like obsessed with each other and the other two just hating it. And she was like, it's only a year of marriage. They're both blessed.
Yeah.
I really think the bar is on the floor for us with men in this show because when Amy Lou's partner was like, I'm glad you made a friend, we both went, oh, that's so nice. Yeah. And then he was like, we need to go to Bangkok.
No, he said, I need to go to Bangkok.
Oh, is she not going with him?
I don't think so. He did the old compliment sandwich where he went, I'm glad you made a friend. And we were like, oh, and he went, I need to go to Bangkok for a few days. I don't think she's going with him.
That would make, do you know what? That would make sense. I thought they need her character here, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Amy Lou and the other lady are going to get it on?
Do you think?
I don't know. Is there
lesbian
gay,
style.
Lesbian?
Interesting.
I would like it if those two would get together.
Well, I think that's very... It's very horny of you, Hannah. I think you might as well be Saxon from that Perv family.
That's a hill I'm happy to die on. That I would be very happy if Amy Lou and that lady got it together. You know what they say, the bigger the front.
The bigger the back, baby.
Hey.
Amy Lou would be like, do you want to do some French kissing? She's like, it's not French.
It's French Canadian.
French Canadian kissing.
Very good.
Thank you.
That was actually
Belinda.
Belinda. We've had a lot at the top of this episode. Do you get? I mean,
I kind of do.
There's chemistry between them.
Is it wishful thinking? Is it just two hot people on a TV show and it's like, be cool if they made out?
Let's see.
I want the siblings to make out.
I was thinking about Amy Lou. She said that when she did the audition, straight after the audition, I'm guessing it was like Mike White told her basically what happens.
Yeah.
So she was like, I feel like maybe I got it because I was told so much. Like I was told what happens to this character. So I'm like, something big is going to happen. And is it lesbian?
Well, that's the crazy thing. You think about season 2, season 1, but especially season 2, like the journey that every single character went through in season 2, up to and including dying. I've seen people online who I think are getting a little impatient with this because it's like, when do we get to the fireworks factory? Like they want to get to these gays are trying to kill me. They want to get to all that stuff. But like, you got to let Mike White set the chessboard. You know what I mean? You got to build that stuff up.
I mean, we talk about one of our favorite films is it or the?
It's either the or a. It's or just Quiet Girl.
Okay, well, we talk about it's an Irish film and literally kind of nothing happens in it. It's about an Irish girl and she goes to her grandparents for the summer, but it's so atmospheric. It's beautifully written. It's a lot of like scene setting.
It's a film you kind of live in.
Yeah, and I think that's the same with White Lotus. I'm not impatient because I really enjoy, if nothing is really happening, but it's building and it's scene setting and it's good.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah, because at the very least, it's a beautiful world to spend time in. But also, even if nothing is happening in terms of like capital P plot, like an armed robbery is happening, there's always stuff happening. Like the character development is always there. And often in ways that you don't realize until like later episodes. You know, it's like that weird conversation about like, I saw you at the baby shower. Like maybe that will have like a whole nother meaning by the end. You don't know.
Maybe it's a red herring.
God, I love this show.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We will be back.
You're welcome.
We will be back with you.
Hannah, honestly, you're welcome.
Belinda.
Belinda.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Love you.